So what's up, guys? I'm coming to you from Phuket, Thailand, and maybe a little dark in the video, but I tried to record this daytime, and I got about 10 minutes in and my phone overheated and shut off. So I'm gonna have to do it at night here. I don't know if you guys can see the view. I'll take the phone up for a moment. It's pretty beautiful here. This is this lake right behind the country club where I'm staying at, and it's pretty gnarly. We've been taking the scooter out and riding it around here pretty much every day, just getting this feel for riding a two-wheeler. I'm not a natural for motorcycles and that kind of stuff. I got my expert videographer, Poobert, holding the camera for you guys. I'm not sure if you can see that, but he's happy to help. And yeah, I haven't made a video in a while, but basically I try to only make them when I feel like super motivated and I have something valuable to say, because you know, everyone's time is worthwhile, not just mine, and you know, I don't want to waste anybody's time listening to something unless I feel like I have something valuable to say. Being here in Thailand has kind of made me, from the moment I got here, it made me realize something, and it's kind of a platitude that you might have heard before, and the thing is, it was a bit of an epiphany for me, even though it was something I'd already heard before. I felt this overwhelming sense when I was in the taxi on the way to my friend's place. I'm staying with a couple other poker players who live here who I hadn't met before, but good guys. Anyway, I felt this feeling of like, man, all we really have to do with our lives is figure out what to do with the time we've been given. You know, the days that we have to live and breathe in this earth, all we really have to solve in life is what we want to do with those days, and that's it. And I feel like it gets so lost. We spend so much time putting so much emphasis on all these other things that just at the end of the day, they're not fucking important. They're not even like a little bit important. You know, what other people think of us, like whether we're respected and esteemed by our colleagues, our career, our friends, like our social status, you know, how we look when we go out in public, like all this bullshit, like honest to God bullshit. There are so few things that matter in life, and I just got overwhelmed by this feeling of like, man, like, what am I so worried about? All I really got to do is wake up and worry about what I'm going to do with that day, and then tomorrow I got to wake up and worry about what I'm going to do with that day, and that's it. That's every day for the rest of your life, because you worry about all these like what if. I want to take what if out of my vocabulary, because like, what if often never happens. There's a whole lot of what ifs you can spend a whole lot of time on that just never come to fruition, and it really doesn't matter like what you would do in some hypothetical situation that never comes to fruition, you know? It's not a game of Law and Thinks, it's your life. And I feel like we create our own like kind of mental prisons, like these insurmountable problems that we spend so much time trying to tackle, when the only thing we got to figure out is like, what would I like to do today? Life honestly is that simple. We just make it so much more complicated. And I know it's a very old expression that all we have to do is figure out what to do with the time we've been given. And when I say it was an epiphany for me, I don't mean I never heard of it before or I'm the first person to think of it. What I'm trying to say by an epiphany of that nature is that for the first time I felt it. You know, there's a difference between hearing something and being like, yeah, that makes sense, and just feeling it in a way that's so true that it's like you feel the truth throughout your body. Like you feel it at a cellular level. You just get it. You're like, oh, now I understand why people say that. Like suddenly it makes sense. And a lot of times it's really, really hard to understand things until you just feel them for yourself. Sorry, some bugs out here. And something that goes hand in hand with that, that's really kind of opened my eyes up for that, is riding a scooter here in Thailand. I mean, I don't know if you guys know, but in Thailand, you don't really rent a car. You ride like a little fucking motorcycle, and everyone rides them, and the locals have been riding them their whole life, and they ride them fast. And, you know, people like me who, you know, aren't exactly naturals on a motorcycle, or, you know, I don't know how fast I can go, and I don't know how, you know, much of a margin I need to turn, and, you know, there's a good chance I could die on one. You know, a couple poker players have died on them, and I hope my mom's not watching, but honestly, I'd say my odds of dying on one right now are like 1% to 2%, but my odds of dying on one the first time I rode one were probably like 8%. I was you know, there's no way I was safe to drive it the first time I rode it, like back from the rental shop. Like, just no fucking chance. And it's kind of funny though, because I mean, it's not funny, it's stupid, but I mean, being on a motorcycle or something, some sort of vehicle where if you get in an accident, you know, good game, it really puts your mortality in perspective. Like when I went to the shopping mart the other day, you know, when I was leaving, it's pretty heavy traffic and I felt pretty nervous just getting there in the first place. And I really thought to myself as I'm putting on my helmet, I'm like, damn, this might be like the last moment I have to myself in my whole life. I may put on this helmet, go out there, start navigating my way home, get in an accident and just be dead. And not that I want that to happen, and obviously I didn't think that was too likely, or else I would have like figured something else out. But just the fact that some part of me, it crossed my mind, it just made me aware of my own mortality. And it really made me kind of think like, okay, well, even though I'm just putting my helmet on right now and taking a deep breath, I'm gonna take this breath like, just like there's some chance it's the last one I'm taking. I'm gonna listen to it, I'm gonna appreciate it, I'm gonna be present for that breath because I don't know how many more I have, so I'm gonna enjoy this one. And that's really it. I mean, there's a song that comes to my mind a lot when I'm riding the motorcycle, and it's a bit twisted, but it's a Third Eye Blind song called Hit and Run. And the song is about a guy getting hit in a motorcycle accident, and he's flying off his bike, right? He's flying through the air, and the refrain goes, you know, like he doesn't know if he's gonna live or die, you know, because he hasn't hit the ground yet, he hasn't felt the impact. And it just says, always wish we got more, or always think we'll get more time. And that is how I've realized that myself, and I think many people, live our lives sometimes, you know? We live life like we think that there's always another chance, there's always more time. And the truth is, there's not always more time. Sometimes there's no time. Sometimes you die, you know, and that's life. And if you live your life thinking, oh, well, yeah, I want to go to this place, I want to go to that place, I want to travel here, I want to travel there, but I'll do it later. Later likely never comes. I mean, the way life is, it's just, you only ever do things now. You know, if you have an idea that you want to travel somewhere, you don't really do it later. You either start planning the trip now, or some other time when it's now, but now then, you plan the trip. But the fact that you thought of it at this now, and we're like, I'll do it later, that means nothing. You basically didn't do it. And then, sure, when you decide later, you might look back and say, oh, I've wanted to do it for a while, so now I'm really gonna do it. But the only moment that really matters is the moment when you say, I'm really gonna do it, and you start planning it and actually make it happen. Everything else is bullshit. So, I really think that we go through life thinking that we have all this extra time, and we think that we can start living our life the way we want to be living it later, because for right now we're still a kid, we're not quite grown up yet, we have all this life ahead of us to live the life we want to be living, but the truth is we don't. So it's kind of now or never. And you know, there's another song, it's a bit cliche, and you know, I'm not super a fan of it, but the words are like, it's about a guy who's like, you know, I don't know if he figures out he's like gonna die or something, but that Live Like You Were Dying song, where he's like, oh, I went skydiving, I went Rocky Mountain climbing, you know that song? I think the gist of it that people are trying to get across to you is like, you know, live your life like it's gonna end, because it is. I'm gonna pick this up because it's getting kind of dark out here. But you know, it's like, someone in my family recently got really sick, and you know, they almost passed away. And now, fortunately, they're doing life completely different. They're, you know, they're getting fit, they're getting healthy, they're doing lots of stuff. I mean, things I never thought I would see from them. And it's so amazing to watch, and it's like, you know, warmed my heart and brought me to tears a number of times. But it's like, that's what people are trying to get across to you all the time. They're saying, hey, live like you might be dying, because you are, you know, and one day you will. And it's like, you don't want to have to wait to have a near-death experience to suddenly get your shit together and live your life in a way where you're actually living and experiencing things. Because a lot of times, you know when you get your near-death experience? Near death, like right before you fucking die. And you don't want to be that guy in the air off a motorcycle, or, you know, lying in a hospital bed, and that's when you get it. You go, oh, oh, this whole thing, this was it. This was my life. This was the chance that I had. You don't want to get that realization the moment before you actually die. And this is why you see people who have these near-death experiences, you know? People who like lose limbs and stuff, and you expect them to be so depressed, but they're not. They're like happy. You know, they live life, they appreciate the shit out of life because they thought they were gonna die. And when they don't die, when people who beat cancer, people who beat, you know, illnesses, and you would think their life quality sucks now, but they seem so happy just to be alive because they get it. They almost weren't. And you don't want to have to wait till you're almost not alive to start appreciating your life. I mean, that's the whole trick, is to appreciate it while you're alive. There's a famous Confucius quote that says, man has 2 lives, and the second one begins when he realizes he only has one. And that's really the goal, is to figure out that you only have one life while you're still alive, not moments before your death, and then fucking live that way. And that's really like, I don't know, I think it's one of the most important video blogs I've made. I might reshoot it because it's getting dark as fuck out here and you guys can't probably see me, but honestly, seeing me is not so important. I just hope you can hear the words I'm saying, because, I mean, that's really it. You got to employ yourself to stop procrastinating. Procrastination is passive death. It's fucking active death. It's like a form of suicide. You know, it's a form of negating your existence and pretending that one day is bullshit. It's today or never, you know? Any day you do anything, it's that day and it's today. So any day you say, I'll do it later, it's just saying, I hope one day it'll be today, on that day, but not today. And, you know, that doesn't mean much. You know, it doesn't hold any weight. And who fucking knows what's gonna happen in this life? You know, you could die tomorrow. And I would just like to know that if anything would happen to me, I would be okay with the way I've been living my life up to that point. You know, who knows when we'll die? But I just wanna know that whenever it happens, I'll be satisfied with the last day, the last week, the last month. I'll know that I was doing it well up until I couldn't do it anymore. And that's gotta be one of the most important lessons you could learn. And I think that's why so many artists, songs, you know, writers, musicians, you know, all kinds of artists really try to get that message out there to people in different formats. They really want to say, hey, you know, you don't have forever. You know, YOLO, you only have one fucking life. Live like that. And it's really hard sometimes. It's really hard to feel that. Even though you know it to be true, it's just so hard to change your behavior sometimes. And, you know, all I can say is I think that's why people do thrill-seeking behavior. Like, when I went skydiving, it woke that up in me a little bit. Even though I kind of knew I wasn't going to die from skydiving, it just, like, pushing yourself, like, getting out of your comfort zone, it makes you realize that life is finite. And, you know, comfort sucks. I don't want to be fucking comfortable. I want to be uncomfortably, gratefully alive. And that's what I would encourage you to strive for as well. It's getting too dark for me to continue, but I hope I made some good points for you guys, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If I look it back and it's unwatchable, I'll reshoot it. But thanks, guys, and have a good night.